Look at this. It's a satellite picture of a city in Sudan. Looks normal. Rooftops, streets, dust. Now zoom in. See those red patches on the ground? Yale University looked at this exact photo and found something else. Right next to almost every one of those patches, something the size of a human body. Over 150 of them in one neighborhood in under a week. You see, nobody dropped a bomb here. These were people walking, running, unalived, close enough that whoever pulled the trigger saw their face. And there's something that actually got me. Most people have no idea this happened. A massacre big enough to leave a mark from space, and it barely made your newsfeed. So today we are going deep on this. Not just what's happening in Sudan, who is making money off it, why the cameras keep looking the other way, and what it means for every other country on this continent sitting on something the world wants. Now I want you to keep this in your head. When two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. By the end, I'm going to show you the part that saying leaves out. You see, this war didn't start between strangers. It started between two men who used to work together. 2019, Sudan does something incredible. Ordinary people push out a dictator who ruled for 30 years. Students, doctors, market women, and they did this just by refusing to leave the streets. You see, two generals are sitting at a table when it happens. Burhan runs the real army. Hemeti runs a paramilitary force called the RSF. You see, there is a detail that most analysts skip when talking about this story. The RSF grew out of the Janjaweed, the same horseback militia the government itself used to crush Darfur 20 years ago. That campaign got called a genocide by the International Criminal Court. Hemeti came through it. So the man now accused of running a genocide in Darfur learned the job in the first one. By 2019, Hemeti is basically running his own army, his own guns, his own gold money. Now Burhan needs to get rid of Bashir. So the two of them, Hemeti and Burhan, shake hands and share power. But you can't share guns forever. There is a plan to merge RSF with the real army. Burhan wants that plan very fast. And on the other hand, Hemeti, who has been working with Burhan, wants that plan to go very slowly or never at all. Simply because merging means giving up everything he has built. And that disagreement is the seed of this war, not tribalism or religion. Just two men who wouldn't let go. Now, April 2023, it turns into gunfire in the capital. Now, fast forward, the RSF surrounds a city called El-Fasher, which is the last stronghold the army has in that whole region. And for 18 months, they kept that city sealed shut. No food in, no medicine in. People start eating leftover peanut waste, which is food normally fed to animals just to survive. Imagine that, watching food disappear block by block within the city for a year and a half, knowing fully well that nothing is coming in. Then the siege breaks and the RSF walks in. You see, what happened next isn't one report. It's the UN, Amnesty International, it's Yale researchers. 3 separate teams paint the same picture. 6,000 people were unalive within the first 3 days. Boys and men rounded up, split by neighborhood, executed. A lot of it just because of their ethnicity. You see, women from the same community described being attacked as, and this is the UN's own wording, a weapon of war. When the UN's top human rights official finally got into that city's hospital, he had just one word for it: a crime scene. Now, is this really a genocide? People throw that word around loose. A genocide means unaliving, meant to wipe out a whole group. You see, proving intent in court is brutal. That's why it takes so long, even when everyone watching already knows what they are seeing. Now, here is what's already on record. The US government has called this a genocide. The UN's own investigators say the attackers carry the marks of one. Amnesty says the evidence backs ethnic persecution. Full stop, with more still under investigation. Now, follow the money. Because this is the part nobody covers, and it's the part that just keeps this war going forever. Sudan sits on gold, very huge reserves of gold. Over 80 tons of gold a year, and a lot of the land the RSF controls happens to sit right on top of the mines. That gold doesn't stay in Sudan. You see, investigators traced it moving through Chad, through Libya, landing mostly in one place, Dubai. One snapshot found the UAE bought around 90% of Sudan's official gold exports in a 6-month stretch. 90%, and Hemeti himself has been linked to property in Dubai worth close to $2 million and bought through shell companies, while his own people back home were eating animal feed. Just to survive must be nice. You see, the UAE denies funding the RSF publicly more than once. That's on record too. But the pile of reporting pointing the other way got big enough that Sudan's own government filed a case at the international court accusing the UAE of funding the war. Now, the other side isn't clean either. Egypt and Saudi Arabia back the official army because they want a friendly government sitting on Sudan's Red Sea coast, which is one of the busiest shipping lanes on earth. Drone strikes on both sides have unalived over thousands of civilians in the first 5 months of this year alone. So this isn't good guys and bad guys. It's two armed sides, both accused of hurting civilians, both backed by outsiders who care more about gold and ports than people caught in the middle. You see, we have seen this movie before. Libya, Congo, Angola, a country sits on wealth. Outsiders are whoever protects their access to it. The people who actually own that wealth end up displaced, starving or unalived. So why did this take 3 years to reach your phone? When Ukraine kicked off, it was everywhere in hours. And that's same with Gaza. Sudan's war has run for 3 years. It has created the biggest displacement crisis on the planet right now, and barely got a 5-minute segment most of that time. Now, some of it is probably because of access. Sudan is dangerous, of course, to report from. Power and internet keep going down. But that's not the whole story. Does a crisis in Darfur weigh the same in a newsroom as one in Europe? You see, watch your own reaction to this video and compare it to how you will react with the same headline from somewhere else. And here is the flip side. This one is on us. How much of this did you know before today? I didn't either. Not like this until I went digging for this. You see, if the world won't tell our stories with urgency, fine, that's on the world. But whether we are paying attention to our own continent's biggest crisis, that one is on us. You see, let me give you the scale because it's easy to lose in words. 9 million people displaced inside Sudan. 19.5 million facing crisis level hunger. 800,000 kids at risk of the worst kind of malnutrition this year alone. And the aid appeal to help all of them, only 1/5 funded. Now, behind every one of those numbers we've just mentioned is somebody's mother, somebody's son, somebody's brother. One aid worker put it plain. Families eating once a day or nothing at all. Some surviving on boiled leaves. This is not a food crisis, she said. It's a survival crisis. Now, let's zoom out for a second. There is more to this story than just Sudan. We need to learn something. This story is a preview. You see, every real conversation about African development runs into the same wall eventually. Money flows towards whoever guarantees stability and access, not whoever is right. If we don't protect our own resources ourselves, somebody else decides what's happened to them. You see, Sudan's goal should be building hospitals in Darfur. Instead, A real share of it is been funding a war under investigation for genocide. You see, every resource-rich country on this continent watching from the sidelines, thinking it can't happen here. This is exactly what it looks like right before it does. The African Union has struggled to get both sides to a ceasefire. Talks keep stalling, partly because the same Gulf powers meant to help broker peace have their own stake in who wins. So here is what I want you to actually do with this. Not guilt. Guilt just turns into scrolling past the next headline tomorrow. If you are in the diaspora and you have ever thought about putting money into anything on this continent, mining, farmland, whatever it is, this story is a live example. Now, there is something you can actually do with everything you just learned. Groups like Yale's Humanitarian Research Lab and the Century are the reason any of this is public. Small teams doing the unglamorous work of tracking gold routes and reading satellite images nobody else is looking at. Follow that kind of work, share it, fund it if you can. The more eyes on a place like this, the harder it gets for anyone to keep looking away. And wherever you're watching from, here is my real challenge. Pick one African crisis this year. Follow it past the first news cycle. Find out who is backing it from outside and what they actually want out of it. Because this exact pattern is going to show up somewhere else on this continent unless enough of us learn to spot it. Now, I will leave you with the rest of that saying we talked about earlier. When two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. The grass doesn't get a vote on whether they fight, but over time, the grass decides on who it lets graze on it next. Tell me in the comments which country do you think is next. I've got my own guess, and I want to see if you are thinking the same thing. This is Luis. You're watching Africa Today, and see you in my next video. Bye.